I just watched Cowspiracy and last night, and um, I thought it was a great documentary. It was people were saying, well, I mean, I didn't read too many comments about it, but it was a very polite documentary considering the magnitude of the problem. I felt like the guy was very tactful, and he didn't slander or bash anybody. They pretty much made fools of themselves, most of the people he interviewed, and he didn't use, for I think it's called attack journalism or shock journalism. He didn't show a lot of. He could have shown so many videos of animals being slaughtered and animal abuse, but he chose not to. So um, I think whether you're on the meat industry side or the dairy industry side or you're a vegan, you really can't complain on how the video was done. It could have been much more hard hitting, a lot more hard hitting. So I appreciate the fact, I can't remember the guy's name, but appreciate he that he did it in the style that he chose to do it. I mean, he was very unbiased for a good part of the film. And if someone doesn't, for example, Greenpeace, if they don't want to respond, they don't let you film them, you have to insinuate. If they don't clear the air for you and say, look, we can't respond because of this, or we can't give you an interview because of this, all they said was, we can't help you, good luck. So the only thing you can do is insinuate. And then when you speak to someone from the meat industry and they look over to their PR director and say, am I allowed to comment? I feel like I shouldn't comment on who we donate to. What I mean, it's only logical for a human to be, okay, this is suspicious. Greenpeace doesn't want to talk to us, and this lady doesn't know whether she's allowed to say who they donate to. I mean, if you don't donate to Greenpeace, then you should just say, no, we don't. I mean, why would that be an issue? So clearly they do donate to Greenpeace. It's just whether she was okay about talking about how often, how much they donate. So I feel like any insinuation or any conspiracy that Greenpeace says is going on now is their own fault. Because if you're trying to save the world and help the world, I feel like honesty would be the number one step. Because when we're being honest with each other, at least we know what our problems are and we can work from there. But Greenpeace, it seems that they don't really want to be honest with people. So I feel like that's a big contradiction to their overall message of helping the world and their environment. I really don't know what their actual motto or message is, but the other thing is they responded with a blog post, a UK from the UK office, which is random because we were mostly taught the film Cowspiracy mostly addresses U.S. agriculture and U.S. consumption, but I guess their UK office decided to respond, and they showed a boat with two boats with activists like cutting a net, some fisherman's net, and they said, you know, they stabbed our boats, and one guy got shot in the leg with a harpoon, and they're just reiterating what Cowspiracy said, that you guys are focused on the wrong things right now. Why not focus on the biggest problem? Why not shed light on the biggest problem that's affecting the earth right now, and that's meat consumption? And that's what Cowspiracy was about. The fact that you don't mention what you're doing for agricultural business, for the meat and dairy business. So I don't understand. It's just I'd like for them to explain themselves a little more. They're doing more of the same. In this article that they're refuting Cowspiracy, they're doing the same thing that the reason why Cowspiracy was even made. So I'm so confused. My brain is going in circles. The logic is just not there. But I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they just really don't know. They're not competent enough to address these issues, and they might consider stepping aside on some things and saying, look, we're not going to tackle all issues with the earth. We just want to focus on these issues, the fishing, the Amazon deforestation due to other reasons, not to agriculture. But don't say you're doing something and drop the ball on the biggest issue. Because then people think, I thought Greenpeace had our back. I was like, oh, Greenpeace, they're good. They have questionable tactics, but at least they're gonna keep everyone in check. I didn't realize they weren't doing anything. They were not doing anything. It seems like every year everything gets worse. So obviously they're not capable of handling this issue, and they don't want to admit it because they want to keep getting their funding. Because I think people need to understand, nonprofits, that doesn't mean no one's getting paid. Nonprofits means they're not profiting from what they're doing. But the CEOs make hundreds of thousands of dollars, execs make hundreds of thousands of dollars, some middle management probably makes hundreds of thousands of dollars, and that's all paid for by funding. It's all paid for by public and private funding. So nonprofits and NGOs are a business. Whether you want to realize it or not, they are a business. They have to pay their light bill like everyone else. Sure, they get subsidies and tax breaks, but they have to pay their salaries. They have to pay their light bill. And people who are making over 100 grand a year don't want to lose their job. It's that simple. They may have started for the right reasons, but they don't want to lose their job. So funding is important, period. And public perception is important. So the fact that it's very obvious that they're not attacking the U.S. diet because they're afraid that probably most of their supporters are meat eaters or vegetarians. So someone's giving you $100 a month or $20 a month, you don't want to slap them in the face and say, by the way, you're the leading your behavior is the leading contributor to the pollution of the world. You eating meat or cheeses or dairy, your social behavior, your Sunday parties where you have chicken wings and stuff. You got to stop all that. I know you care about the environment. So that's difficult to tell people, but that's the right thing to do. They might lose a lot of funding doing that, but I'm sure they started it not to be the biggest fundraiser in the world, but they started it to actually make a difference. And I'm pretty sure they just lost their way, and they just need to be reminded of what their mission is. And it reminds me of this. So cocaine is obviously a big issue in the world, drugs in general. So who would you go after to stop the cocaine business? Obviously the big cartels, which they try to do, but do you think you can stop the cocaine business by attacking the villagers and the peasants who harvest the cocaine leaves? So some guy in the field who lives in a small village, they're run by the cartel. So I don't know if you know anything about cartels, but if you refuse an order, they'll just kill you. I mean, people are just objects and tools to complete their mission. So I'm sure you can research cartels and you'll see how violent they are. So this guy's forced to do this. This isn't an option. He's not doing it for fun. He's not collecting these leaves for fun. Just like fishermen aren't fishing for fun. I don't think anyone's fishing for the fun of it, commercial fishermen. They're fishing to make a living. So you go after this guy and you harass this peasant who has no other option. He will literally die from a bullet if he refuses the cartel or if he runs away. And Greenpeace that's what they're doing to attack these issues. They're going after fishermen. Fishermen are providing for their families. That's it. You need to go after people with resources, like you American citizens who have money, who are wealthy, who are choosing to go to steakhouses. It's not cheap to eat at a steakhouse. It costs $100 a person sometimes if you go to a good steakhouse. Those people have resources. They have education and they have access to the internet. They can look up these things. They can research how damaging meat eating and dairy eating is to the environment. The fishermen might not even have the internet. They might not even have a computer. They might not even have resources. All they know is that the only option for them is to fish to feed their family. So who's the bigger culprit here? Someone who's well-researched, well-educated, has resources to change their diet, to buy vegan alternatives. They have the money to do that. Are they the biggest issue, or the guy whose only option in life to survive is to do this one task? So same thing, going back to the cocaine fields. You're going to harass this guy who has no other option, no other resources. He can't get a job in the medical industry. He can't switch from harvesting cocaine leaves. That's the only thing, cocoa leaves, whatever they're called. It's the only thing he can do. So I don't understand the reasoning. I'd like someone from Greenpeace to explain to me why they would go after people with no resources. And I know they go after the cartels in the drug business, and they also go after the companies who are doing the fishing. But in a roundabout way, if you go after the company, you're going after the employees too. If you bomb a fishing boat, I mean, those people who worked on those fishing boats, they're going to have to wait for the company to acquire another fishing boat, and they're probably going to cut back on salaries because of that. It's all a commission-based thing. So go after the consumers, because we're the guilty ones. The people who actually put the meat in their mouth. Supply and demand, basic economics. If there's no more supply for meat, if there's no more demand for meat or fish, what will happen is they're going to fish less, and they're going to raise the price. So if you want to buy, so we don't even need a tax. We don't need government intervention. If you want to buy fish, if everyone stops eating fish and you want to buy fish, the price of fish is going to be astronomical. Perfect. That's perfect. Let economics handle this problem. The price of fish will be hundreds of dollars a pound, so it'll be a delicacy. Same thing with meat. A steak would be hundreds of dollars for a piece of steak, which it should be, because it's a non-renewable resource. So just like diamonds, or supposedly diamonds are rare. That's why they cost tens of thousands of dollars. A little piece of worthless stone. It's a stone that has no use but to look pretty on someone's finger. We pay tens of thousands of dollars for that, but for a piece of meat, we're going to pay like $5-10. It doesn't make any sense. Ask yourself, does that make any sense? Why we pay so much for something that's useless, and then for something that affects our world and our environment so much, we pay $5-10. You should be paying, those should be switched. You want to eat meat, that's fine. It'll be like a rare occurrence, be a special event, special occasion, and it should cost you. You should want that meat so bad that you're willing to pay a tremendous amount of money to eat that piece of meat. And if you need it that bad, then go ahead, eat the meat. But other than that, it shouldn't be available to everybody in mass quantities. And I don't believe in government intervention. So I don't advocate let's tax it like we do with cigarettes and alcohol and gasoline. I don't believe in that, because I don't think the government has to fix all our problems. It's simple. Start a campaign with all the hundreds of millions of dollars you raise in financing. Start a campaign against consumption of meat and dairy products, against the people who have the resources to make a change in their lifestyle. Don't go attack these workers in third world countries or these fishing companies in third world countries. They're not going to stop as long as people are buying it. And they're going to say, wait a second, I'll tell you what, you go back to your own country and you tell your people to stop eating fish, and then I'll stop fishing, pretty much. Or I'll have to find another way to make a living. What seems easier? Because if you cut out fishing, people in the U.S. and you don't curb the demand, people in the U.S. are still going to want fish. So some other operation in another part of the world is going to start up. Now you're going to have to take all your little rafts and boats and all your activists, and they're going to have to brag about how they travel the world. Now they're going to travel to another location. Now they have to attack a whole new business, whole new people, all the while spending all your fundraising money and resources on moving these operations around the world. That doesn't make any sense. Have any of you been to a business school, or do you all? I don't know where you get your information and your strategies from. That doesn't make any sense to do that. You know where the demand is. You don't know where the next supply is going to be. It can be anywhere in the world. So why not go after the demand? It's easier. The demand stays put. The demand doesn't change. So that's obviously, I know all the answers, and that's how I would do it. But everyone has their opinion. What they're doing now isn't working. I think we can all agree on that. What they're doing now is not working. They're just saving face. They're putting a Band-Aid on the problem. They're too political. Anytime you have that much money, you have to be politically correct. and it's not politically correct to attack the American diet, especially since the United States government um, puts out that you should have dairy and meat products a couple times a week. So they're in a difficult position, but they're being cowards right now. They're definitely being cowards. They're not doing their job, and what's worse is they're making people feel like they're fighting for everyone, and they're not. So it lets us relax. It lets us calm down. Like that guy was so shocked, the guy in the Cowspiracy, because he's like, wait a second, I thought these guys had our backs, and they're dropping the ball. This is crazy. The biggest organizations in the world are dropping the ball. Now it's up to me to do something. I don't have millions, hundreds of millions of dollars in funding. This is absurd. And I feel the same way now. I thought as long as Greenpeace was around and Sierra Club or Oceana, they spend tens of millions of dollars on their giant events like the one they had in the south of France, I believe. What is that doing? Once the wealthiest people in the world get to travel to Monaco for an expo, they raise more money so they can do the same thing next year. How does that help the oceans at all? It just sounds like a giant tax write-off. So, whatever. Anyone who's watching this, realize that it's up to you to make a difference. You can't trust these giant organizations because they're just as corrupt as the government. They're just as corrupt as corporations for profit. I have nothing against corporations, but don't be a corporation and say you're an NGO or say you're for the people or say you're doing the right thing for the environment. Don't do that. If you're going to be a corporation, just admit it, that you want to protect your salaries and your bonuses, and you're going to do everything you can to maximize funding efforts, and you're not necessarily going to expose all the issues, honestly, that our world is facing. Don't be a hypocrite. That's it. That's the only thing say what you are. All right, well, that's it. Yeah, that's what I think. The world needs one more opinion, I'm sure. All right, well, I will check in. Back to what I'm doing. I will check in tomorrow. I'm just going to do my normal eating today, and I'll check in tomorrow to give you guys an update on how I'm feeling. And we're getting closer to the 1 week body update. So thanks for watching. See you guys later.